Hello, today I'll play one of my favorite games, Imperator Rome, and I'll give you a guide for how to play Carthage, which is one of the strongest starts and probably one of the better ones to learn the game with. So here we go. First I'm going to look at the national ideas, and this is kind of a trap for newer players that they feel that they have to immediately fill in all the idea slots and kind of get the bonus for your civilization, but that's not really necessary. I'm only going to put in just one idea for now. I'm going to save the political influence, and I'm going to put in the tax farming idea to help get us extra money. We are currently running a deficit, and we're going to want to shrink this deficit and go into profit. But I'm going to leave the others for now, and I'm going to save the political influence. I'm going to go into my government, and since we're a republic, we're going to have elections, and we're going to go through and change our leader every so often. But generally what you want to be doing with your leader is you want them to be on one of two tasks. You ideally want them to be influencing this, gaining political influence here, so we're going to put it on that. But if your leader doesn't have enough popularity up here, then you can also sponsor games to try and raise the popularity. But we're going to do influencing, which is what you always want to be on. Whenever you have an election and you get a new leader, you want to put them on influence and try not to forget that. So next up, we're going to do a bit of foreign policy. So we are going to try and get an alliance with Etruria here. They're not quite ready for it yet, but hopefully we're going to nudge them in the right direction. And what we're going to do is we're going to immediately begin fabricating a claim on Rome, on the province of Latium, and similarly fabricating a claim on Syracuse. Now we're going to set up some import routes. So actually, before we do that, what I like to do generally is to automate the trade on all except the capital province. So here we go, all except for Carthage. We're going to automate the trade on. We're just going to let it run its own thing and not interfere with anything apart from our capital province. But we will micromanage our capital province. So what I usually like to have is I like to have a surplus of dies. We're actually trading one away, so I'm going to cancel that first of all. So a surplus of dies, so 2 dies, which will give us national noble happiness. I also like to have the same for fish, which we'll get from Egypt here. That's for the freeman happiness. And finally, precious metals. Well, we already have enough for the citizens. Then it's also good to have a surplus of iron, which we're going to get from Etruria here. This will boost our heavy infantry. And finally, things like glass is good. So we can't actually get that at the moment, but that would be a good as well to get. So for now, we'll also start on dates. So actually, because we have a large commerce income, we're actually going to go for a surplus of dates. And in fact, I will get rid of the glass here for now, just to get that commerce income bonus from the dates. In terms of the religion, we'll go for Melquart here, who will give us a further commerce income bonus to really try and get rid of that deficit for now. And so with that, we're ready to begin. The only other thing, we do have a scorned family here. We can't actually, I don't think, from the beginning fill that in, though. But we will also assign a commander to our navy here, because we will need a strong navy. And having a commander will allow the morale to start improving on here. So we'll unpause. I'll usually go to speed 5. We'll unpause here, and we should start getting a bunch of trade agreements coming in. That'll help our budget. And now finally, we're going to mobilize this set of mercenaries. Now, even though you will see that, of course, will put us at an even greater deficit, that's okay, because soon we're going to go to war with Rome. In fact, as soon as our casus belli arrives on the 1st of April, we want to be at war with Rome. So we're going to wait a little while, of course, before embarking, but we're going to get our mercenaries and some of our levies to go and attack Rome. We will also pick a mission. Now, usually I'd go for the aftermath of the invasion here to sort of boost some of our cities, but I'm not going to pick the mission just yet because we'll lose money, and we need as much money as we can at the moment. So here is one of the events that happens when you are using the influence scheme, which for a small loyalty loss, it's not really bad here. We do get an extra bit of stability, which helps just a little bit. Another thing that I've forgotten is that we want to get rid of some of these forts. They are a sort of burden on our economy. Certainly we're not going to use this fort over here. We'll keep the fort in our capital, and we'll keep the one here in Sicily for now, but we will want to get rid of most forts in general. So we now only have a few months until we're ready to go to war with Rome, so I'm going to mobilize my two largest levies. There's one from the Africa region itself, and the other one is from Numidia, which also has a fairly large levy. So I am using this button up here, the levies map mode, to click exactly where I want to mobilize each of my levies. I'm going to move this one over here, embark it, and then we're going to go as soon as we can. Finally, I'm going to secure that alliance with Etruria. So even though we are slightly over our relations cap, the alliance with Etruria is well worth it. And here we're going to go and declare war on Rome and call Etruria in, and of course all of our feudatories will join as well. Our mercenaries, we're going to go and begin sieging Rome straight away, but for our home levy, what we're going to do is we're going to start to siege down the cities. And when you siege down a city with your with a levy that your leader leads, you get this sacking event where you can choose to sack money from that city, and you also have an option to kind of have the city be depopulated in exchange for extra money. Now, for roleplay reasons and because we're going to eventually take this over, I'm going to choose the lightest of these, but this will give us a lot of money, and this will help us with our budget deficit. So that budget deficit is not going to be such a big problem now, because we're going to sack a lot of these cities, get a bunch of money, and so it's not going to be a problem. Here we're already quite quickly sieging down the fort in Rome, and we're going to go and siege down Veii as well here. So here we've captured the Roman fort at Veii, and we are having quite an easy time. We have way more troops than the Romans at this stage, so we're having quite an easy time taking fights from the Romans. Our Etruscan allies are also helping us out here, so if we need any backup, then I'm sure we will get it from them. We're just going to siege down this other fort in Saticula. Now, the other thing is that before we conquer Rome, which we will do, we're going to subjugate Rome and conquer this territory. Hopefully we have been able to take captive some Roman citizens, or some Roman pops, we should say. Let's have a look. Yes, we have 10 Roman pops here. And what we're going to do is we're going to immediately start to integrate them up to the citizen level. And because we only have 10, this should go at the fastest possible speed. So this will be integrating them at a speed of 0.4% per day, which means 250 days, so just less than a year. So we're going to wait until the Romans are integrated in our country before we piece them out. In the meantime, we're doing the usual, we're taking cities and getting money from sacking them, and we're also conquering the fortresses. So you do get these kind of events where it can speed up the integration of the Romans, which we'll do. This will help us integrate the Romans that much faster. We're going to go and sack Naples here as well. As you can see, our small budget deficit is not really hampering us because of all the cities that we're able to sack. So at this point, Roman is now integrated, and we have several Roman provinces which we'll take, and we will also force Rome to become our client here. We'll leave the Romans alone, and now we have Rome with a nice wonder there, and we have another province here. And so next up we're going to go and invade Sicily. We're going to take over Syracuse next. So here I've parked our fleet with our levies and mercenaries on board next to Syracuse, and we're going to declare war, and then we're going to straight away land their territories with fortresses in them, so here and up here, and we're going to begin sieging them down as soon as we can. So we won the siege of Syracuse. Now Syracuse does itself have several clients which we're also going to siege down. At this point we have quite high stability, above 50%. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin giving rights to some of our larger groups of pops. So for the Massilians, we will give them the right of inheritance here, which will give them extra culture happiness at the cost of some stability. But that's okay because we have too large a stability anyway. As the last fortress on Sicily falls, we're just going to make peace, and we're going to take all the land here. Oh, well, we can't. So what we actually could do Because we don't have enough war score to take all the land, we're just going to leave Lockery to it, and we're going to take all the rest of the land. And I'm going to welcome a bunch of these people as well, and you'll see why. So at this point, we have Rome and Sicily, and we have basically won the game. From here, we are probably the strongest nation, and we can expand in any direction we like and be very successful. All I will say is that there's usually a trap that newer players fall into, which is that they like to go the sort of historical route for Carthage, which is to go into Spain, perhaps, maybe the south of France. But these are quite poor and very sparsely populated territories, as they were in historical times. The best thing from here is to go east and to take Greece and the Asia Minor and perhaps Egypt. These are very well populated, rich lands, and it's worthwhile to go for them next. Finish taking the rest of Italy and go east. So from here on, the world is your oyster, though as I mentioned, it is more worthwhile to go east to take the lands of Greece and Asia Minor. Many of the wonders as well, the historic wonders, like here we have a Temple of Zeus at Olympia and so on, are located there as well, which is another bonus. So we're going to try a bit of a spicy strategy here, which is to go Hellenic, to convert our nation to Hellenic. Now, Hellenic is advantageous because, firstly, the Diadochi are Hellenic, so you're going to see a lot more of the Hellenic religion here in Greece and in the East. And as the game goes on, more of this will become converted to Hellenic because the Diadochi are Hellenic. So to do this, we're going to need basically 200 political influence. So we're going to wait and we're going to try and get this political influence as quickly as we possibly can. There are a few inventions that we can go for. So we do actually want to go down this route to winning land by the spear. This unlocks a very powerful war type of war. And generally this branch is quite useful as well. So we're going to go down this branch. This should also get us, it will get rid of some of our aggressive expansion. And here we'll also get 50 extra political influence. So that's what we're going to do. In the meantime, we will do some of these missions which cost money. Now we don't need our mercenaries anymore for the moment, so we are going to get a positive cash flow. Now, in order to convert to Hellenic, we will need at least one Hellenic deity. So we will choose Dionysus here. This will eventually allow us to convert. We also need some Hellenic characters, and because we took in the characters from Syracuse when we conquered it, that's fine in that sense. So it's 457, I've saved up 200 political influence, and I'm going to embrace the Hellenic pantheon. This has tanked our stability a bit, but that's okay. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to swap in all the other Hellenic deities, because you don't want to have different deities, you want to just have deities of one religion. So I'm going to put in Apollo. I'm going to put in Kronos. And as soon as we get the stability, I'm going to change another one as well. Even though it'll take us some time to recover from the very low stability we now have, this will be worth it in the end because it will allow us to expand much, much faster into the east. Here I am in the mid-game of this run, and as I've explained, I've expanded eastwards into Greece, finished off taking Italy, and moved into Asia Minor. And while it looks on the map like the territory that I control in terms of area is smaller than, say, Ptolemaic Egypt, in actual fact, if we look at the ledger, I actually have the second largest number of pops behind the Marias, and I'm making a lot of money. I control a huge number of the historic wonders, which give me a lot of good bonuses, and I've built 4 of my own wonders. Now 4 is about the right number that you need in Invictus. So in the capital, or in the capital province, first I went for the tax and commerce, the government traditions, and the expanding culture effects on a wonder. The strategy is to build a tower type great wonder with 2 of its features in stone and 1 in gold, which means you'll need stone and precious metals in that province, which you should do in the capital province anyway. And this is kind of the optimal from a construction time and cost point of view. So I have 4 of those. So the capital one boosts the number of capital trade routes, which is important, and province loyalty and faster conversion assimilation. The second one you probably want to go for is one that boosts an integrated culture group happiness, gives you stability and civilization, so country civilization. This is quite important. It gives you big happiness bonuses and output and so on. Another 2 I built in the Latium region, where you have lots of resources as well. So you want 1 wonder for the 3 main social groups, the nobles, citizens, and freemen. This boosts their happiness and output in your entire empire. And 1, this is kind of under construction at the moment, this is honored leader, which gives you integrated culture group, happiness, and there may be a few others that I will add on to this as well. So that's the wonder strategy, and I've basically only spent my money on wonders here. I haven't built very much infrastructure at all. I haven't built the great temples or anything like that so far. As I finish off the wonders, that's what I'm going to continue doing. In terms of research, I've had to get the techs that allow those wonders. I also got in here the foundry tech, and next up I'll be going for cohorts to be able to get legions everywhere. And of course I've gone down the winning land by the spear path, which I will be using on the Ptolemaic Kingdom. I currently have a truce with them because it takes a lot of war score to kick out the feudatories and so on that they have in Greece. So it may look as if I don't have all of Greece, but in fact I've taken a bunch of client states here, and Rome is my client as well. And I have been feeding territory to these clients. So for example, you can see this big swathe of territory I've given to Argos, and so on and so forth. You see Rome here has some African lands, and so on and so forth. So this is kind of a good strong start. From here, basically the strategy would be to use the winning land by the spear, the imperial challenge, a war goal on a bunch of the nations. And now fortunately quite a number of nations have sort of taken over their neighbors. Of course you need 100 territories to be able to use the imperial challenge war goal, and you can see there's quite a few that we can use that on. So for example, we can take Mycelia here. In one war we just annex them almost instantaneously. We can use that same strategy on some of these European powers and going into Asia. As I mentioned, I converted to Hellenic, and as you can see, this, firstly, I've converted a lot of my lands to Hellenic, but it also opens up the possibility to go for Egypt. Once we go for Egypt, they are already converted, and so is a bunch of the sort of Middle East, and even what used to be Bactria up here. So this really puts us in very good stead to expand further. It means we won't need to convert the lands we conquer. We will just begin assimilating the cultures there, which we can do because of our extra bonus. And the other thing I've done is I've of course put in all Hellenic deities, but what I've then done is I've either captured the city where the holy site for that deity is, or I have personally set up holy sites. So you can do this. There's a button here to set up a holy site, and if you own a holy site in a city, or even better in a metropolis that's yours, Then you get even bigger bonuses from your deities. So normally Apollo would be a +4% integrated culture group happiness bonus, but because I have the holy site, which I built here, it's now +5, and so on and so forth. As I showed you, I integrated the Roman culture straight away. This has allowed me to take the decision here to study the Roman ways of war. So if I show you this with Macedonian of course is another good culture to integrate because of the Diadochi. We can study the Greek ways of war here, potentially, lose a bit of stability, lose 40 military experience, but this unlocks the Greek, or in the case of the Romans, their military traditions. And so I first went for the Roman ones, and this gives you these two traditions, which each give you 3 extra innovations, as well as improve your movement speed, improve your siege ability. But really, those 6 extra innovations, meaning that you can get 6 more inventions, are really important. So this is a promising start, and if there's interest, I may play this on stream at some point in the future. Thank you for watching.